Right. It is August 20th, 2026. It is 8:11 p.m. EST. On the room is Sergeant Madeline Montes, PCSO batch number 504. To my left is
Alex Shields, badge number 100, Assistant Chief of ODPD.
Brian, that's you.
I'm going to be Director Brian Knight, call sign 0495, currently suspended and under investigation.
223 Daisy Moss, LSPD.
Badge 003, Skylar Sparks.
Okay, Brian. So we've asked you to speak with us today because we want to speak to you about a few different events.
Okay.
We want to start with
For the sake of grounding my understanding so that I can jog my memory on all these things, like, you know, preemptive to the various topics, could I ask just a couple cursory questions so I have the right frame of mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just going to read you your rights as well. Just for sake of the recording and investigation.
Okay.
Brian, are you aware of your rights, or would you like me to read them?
I'm aware of my rights. Is this a criminal matter?
We're going to ask you some questions regarding two situations that happened.
Okay.
This, depending on the outcome, it's an ongoing investigation.
You're saying it could become criminal?
Yes.
Would you like a lawyer present?
Well, you know, if I'd known in advance, I would have certainly called one down. But you know, I'll see what I can. You know, we'll see where this goes first.
We're happy to wait if you want to reach out to somebody.
No, we'll be fine. I think if this starts to, so rather transparently, right? It's been about a week. We organized a time, you know, beginning yesterday. I do wish that I was told this in advance. Otherwise, I would have prepared a lawyer if that's the direction these questions are going to go. So what I will do is I'll answer the questions. But if we start to get into matters that I find concerning or inappropriate or anything like that, where I think a lawyer is needed, I'll just, you know, I'll get in contact with one. Just so we're not, you know, keeping this waiting any longer.
Okay. You said preliminary questions. Are there any additional questions that you had?
Yes. So I was told this was not a criminal matter initially. Well, sorry, not initially, but a couple days back. And so I think even my first question is going to be,
who told you that? Do you mind if I ask?
I don't remember. There's been, I've spoken with Sparks. I've spoken with you. That was the impression that I had. It may have been when you and I spoke, Sparks, but let me just ask this straightforwardly. I think this will save us all some time. What are the topics of question?
So we are going to start with speaking about the July transport.
Okay.
We spoke about that in length. I will just be frank with you. We've investigated that. I think that all of that is very clear. You know, from our conversation, you know, it was sanctioned by the state and everything. Just doing our due diligence, we want to allow you to speak on the record about that, just so that that way it's all documented. And then after that, we are going to speak with you about Andre Tyson's kidnapping and the incident that happened, and that incident happening in August. So that will be the main focus.
Okay. So the reason I ask whether this is a criminal matter or a separate matter is even in the room in which the initial meeting we had with Angel, followed by the meeting that transpired after that, the indication that I received was that, and also the text messages with Sparks, and if none of this is accurate, I'd like to understand. Is this a criminal matter or is this a review of potential wrongdoing? And what is that process? Because my understanding is that this was going to be submitted to the state, right?
Yes.
So
it will be
ignoring the criminal aspect of it, right? What process are we undergoing right now? Like what are the steps here? And who is the delivery to? Who is the arbiter of the decision? Right? And I know this is kind of new for everybody, but I'd like to get an understanding, so that I'm not in the dark.
Sparks, do you want to talk on this?
Sure, yeah. So as far as I am aware, unless there are other investigators or the state wishes to proceed otherwise, I had no intention on initially pressing any criminal charges concerning the circumstance. There was no intention from the state to originally press any criminal charges unless something came up further in the investigation. Two members of the state reached out to Angel concerning concerns regarding the stolen information that was received on that tablet. The state provided its recommendation. Angel reached out to me and said, "Hey, this is sus. Can you investigate?" I said, "Sure." And she said, "Originally, what I have from the state is 1 to 2 unbiased investigators. Angel suggested one from each department. I agreed, and then we formed the group that we have before us."
Just to ensure I follow, because there was a lot there, the state initiated the investigation?
As far as I am aware, Angel advised of the tablet that was received with the stolen information. She advised the state of that information. State gave its recommendation, and Angel altered it a little bit only because they stated 1 to 2 neutral investigators, and Angel suggested one from each department, to which I agreed. Otherwise, that is I can send you receipts if you want, from what I
Sure.
have from the state. Sure. Okay.
Is it the 2 lines?
What do you mean 2 lines?
Okay, I might be thinking of something. Yeah, if you could. My understanding based on the reading of the subpoena was that this investigation in regards to the Faceless tablet, the delivery by the Faceless to the Chief Justice Angel was the beginning of the investigation. But am I incorrect to say that you are stating that delivery was given to the state and they advised this? Or am I misstating?
That is my understanding. If for some reason that differs, it is beyond my specific understanding. I have provided what I understand and what I was told directly.
Okay.
I sent you a copy of the receipt.
Is there any documentation of this? And I'll be more specific here, right? My concern on the offset here, right, is, who began this investigation? And the question kind of, I want to ensure that there is no missing exculpatory evidence as to how this procedure began. In addition to that, given in the subpoena, there is notation about the Alfonso and Lang situation, and I'm aware that those matters were done prior to this Faceless delivery. That would infer that the investigation, including what we're going to be discussing, began prior to that. Is that inaccurate?
I don't understand the question. I apologize directly.
Sure. When did you start investigating me?
Well, there are 2 sets of circumstances. There was a preliminary one, to which I provided my finding. And then shortly after that, then Angel received the tablet, to which I understand she told the state, and then the state was like, "Yo, dog, hear a thing."
So you started a preliminary investigation prior to the delivery of the Faceless chip?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're more concerned with the matter at hand because all the investigators here also did that same investigation. So we can go in further concerning that if you would like.
I'm not trying to be pedantic here, but I'm not intending to. It's just I'm a little confused by the response.
I don't have anything further to say on that matter.
No, I'm just trying to get clarity here. So everyone here started the investigation on Alfonso and Lang's transport prior to the Faceless delivery chip? Or no? Or am I misunderstanding?
No. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, I may be confused. I apologize.
I'll ask him more direct.
Hold on, Brian.
Yeah.
So timeline of events. Believe that there was a investigation that was happening prior to the Faceless tablet, Faceless chip, whatever you want to call it. Then the tablet appeared. The state sanctioned an investigation on that. We focused on the tablet, but in conjunction to that, because of this other investigation that was already previously happening, we looked into that at the same time. As I said earlier, to be just blunt about it, as of right now, we have not found any wrongdoing related to the transport of Lang Buddha and Alfonso Sebastian. We did speak at length about it on the phone, so that's why I do want to just get it on recording.
Sure.
Just to basically corroborate your statements with our findings with that, and so that we can all just move past the Alfonso and Lang situation. Because again, don't believe that there was any wrongdoing with that. So hopefully that answers your question as far as timeline goes.
It does, and I'll be a little bit more direct, right? The subpoena, which was supplied to me yesterday evening, its reason for subpoena includes, while the delivery did not while the delivery of the subpoena for the date that Lang and Alfonso were transported was not delivered. I saw the notes by Crane in there. The reason I bring that up is not only are we discussing that today, however, it was in the subpoena that produced the results, and not only because this can transpire into a criminal matter, but also because it is imperative that I provide the right set of information and the exculpatory information that may be necessary for my, let's just say, exoneration. That is why I'm asking when the investigation started, because it sounds like it started before. And if it started before, that sounds like there's a lot more receipts that I need to pass forward. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say here?
Yes, but what do you mean by receipts you need to pass forward?
So let's say, for example, that this what is going to be sent to the state or whatever this process is strictly going to be about the Andre thing, then I don't need to really go too deep into receipting. Here's like, the message from the state, and here's this thing, and here's that thing in regards to.
So the message from the state, I did, just so that you're aware, I did share that with Sparks. That is going to be passed on. It's clear that, that was all signed, that those were.
Why aren't they just saying when the investigation started?
That's all above board. That will be, if it hasn't already been passed on, obviously it will be passed on.
Okay.
It's more just like this was brought up. The Lang Buddha and Alfonso
Why are they
Sebastian
skirting this?
situation. It's brought up. It's still technically an open investigation. Again, based on our conversation, based on the state sanctions for it, we don't believe that there's any wrongdoing, but to, for due diligence, that's why we just want a recount of that day, so that way we can say we can check off that box and move on.
Yeah.
So that's the reasoning for that.
I don't want to get stuck on this question too long. I'm gonna only just ask it once more, and if there isn't an answer, that's fine. We can move on. Was the investigation that we're discussing today, did it start any time prior to the delivery of the Faceless chip?
Which part of the investigation?
The full collection of whatever's going to be sent to the state.
So again, my understanding is the transport that happened in July that was being looked into prior. I don't believe that
So yeah, it was, right?
Yes, I already said that.
I got you. Sorry. All right.
The Andre Tyson part of it, that started when the state pushed for it to start.
Okay.
That's my understanding
all right. Okay.
of the timeline of events.
We're on the same plane. Yeah. Sorry. All right. Okay. So this whole thing is going to be sent to the state to review. Is that accurate? Or is that an unknown?
I think we'll submit it to Angel, and Angel will submit it to the state, I assume.
Okay. Will I be afforded the opportunity to produce a defense, or is this going to
we spoke
what is
about
the process?
that. We spoke about that yesterday. Your questions, and as far as exculpatory evidence, I don't have an answer for you yet on that, but I am going to work to get an answer for you. Whether that is that whatever we send to Angel, we also send to you, or that you then are able to speak with Angel and have an adequate opportunity to defend yourself, or answer any additional questions that she may have as an outcome of it. But I'll be honest, I'm not around earlier in the day during the week, so just haven't had a chance to speak with her. And after we had spoken, I think everybody went off duty because everybody was having headaches, so I didn't get a chance to speak to these three about it either.
Okay. Yeah, the main reason I'm asking this is I'm kind of in the dark what this process is, hence the question, so I have a better line of sight if there's things that I need to do, or whether those are things that need to be brought up in the recording.
Sure.
Because from my perspective, right, y'all have been provided some things, but then, and this is the document I sent to you this morning there with my conversation with Sparks. That was kind of the intention of my questions of Sparks, because I'm going to be asked questions here. You're now hearing the other side, not the Faceless side, but the other side. And as I illuminate y'all with answers, I am going to suppose there's going to be some investigation to check the veracity of my statements. Or you may come to learn that there is exculpatory evidence that we're not aware of, right?
Yes.
Okay, easy. All right. All right. Easy.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
I got a load. I could go through them now if you want, or bring them up as we go through the topics.
Let's start here. Can you walk us through the transport of Alfonso Sebastian and Lang Buddha?
Yes. And I'm going to state that if I am lying on behest of the state. They were probably going to murder me in a very dastardly way. And when I invoke the state, I am talking about state actors and not pretend to make believe. I just want that on the record. There are going to be. So let's go ahead and I'm sure when we get to the record question, I can illuminate more on that. Cleveland, which was a 1 month estimated situation that law enforcement was dealing with, in which some members of pre-New Babylon coined. They had effectively taken over Bolingbrook. After the transportation of some of their injured parties, I want to say, I think it was Eliza Stellano. We had agreed to take her in and get her medical over at Sandy. They, being Alfonso Sebastian and Lang Buddha, as well as like maybe two more, took it upon their own accord to get into a military vehicle and start to circle the hospital. Now, keep in mind that the situation with Cleveland was rather dire, as their ability to produce weaponry beyond our own capability was present. Like, we were dealing with them manufacturing fighter jets and militarized helicopters from within Bolingbrook with scraps, right? Which I know might sound unbelievable, but feel free to look at the reports. So when they took this thing out, we ultimately gave them multiple warnings to stop circling and go back to Cleveland, as there was a bit of a stalemate scenario and it was going against our negotiations. Ultimately, they were taken out and they were brought into our custody. I sought guidance from the state, one of the highest members of the land. I call him deputy governor because that's effectively what he is. And the decision made by them was, given the fact that Alfonso Sebastian and Lang Buddha were a danger to be housed in Bolingbrook, because we could simply get Cleveland number 2, the decision was made by them to transport the two to a secure facility on the grounds of Fort Zancudo. Upon our arrival, we got attacked by the Faceless. I can't really recount how many helicopters there were, but there was just so many, more than we usually deal with. Usually we see maybe 3 Faceless helicopters and an A-10. In this particular situation, the sky was just flooded with little birds and Apaches and God knows what. Given that we had 2 prisoners in our custody, we, while the firefight was happening, went into the hangar of Fort Zancudo to prevent any missile barrage. And that's when 3 vehicles, where God knows where the fuck they came from, I don't know if they were deployed from the air or what, came in, circled the transport vehicle, which was armored, including armored glass, and they started threatening. They surrounded and started threatening myself and McLeod. We didn't really know what to do. I remember making the statement, "What the fuck are you going to do? This is bulletproof." To which one of the Faceless assets, Southside, specialed them out. I will define that as the doors were locked and somehow they slid them out of the vehicle. So at that point, given that whatever the fuck they were able to do, because I guess they're Faceless, It left the entire locked door and armor-plated vehicle with armored glass entirely exposed, leading to myself and McLeod being restrained and black bagged. So it was a very interesting situation, you know? I'm sure that faceless asset felt really bad afterwards. Do I need to explain what I meant by what occurred? Like the
which part?
taking him out bit?
No, I think we all
Okay.
understand what you mean.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think the Southside special. First time I've heard that.
Car was locked somehow.
Yeah.
Pulled him out of the car. You know, wow.
As you stated, director, it's some grinder shit.
Yes.
I think we're good to move beyond.
Yeah.
I
Did they?
do.
Go
Go
ahead,
on,
Moss.
Shield. No, go on.
I was just gonna say, was there any conversation, any back and forth with the individuals after they pulled them out and black bagged you guys? Was there any talks that were had?
It was very short. I can't say I recognize who was speaking. I've never heard that particular voice before. They said something like, Charlie said it had to be this way. Now, this reference goes back to Cleveland and a whole plethora of situations that occurred. During Cleveland, the Faceless worked with Alfonso Sebastian, effectively against the state. For some reason, despite the fact that New Babylon was under threat by Faceless, I'm going to go really fast here because otherwise this lore dump is going to take forever, but the context is relevant. Alfonso worked with the Faceless because he's retarded. Even though other Babylonians were like, they've been trying to kill us. But you have to understand, Alfonso is completely cooked. To quote Lang Buddha, he's been smoking synthetic marijuana, and it made his brain rot. So after the whole the start of it, Cleveland and us starting to push in, Alfonso would call Charlie, and Charlie would come in and like bomb the fuck out of PD. And pretty much all the Babylonians in there. Oh, also he called himself the big dog because he was a part of the besties. As they had previously taken control of the prison, and he had joined the besties, but because the besties, we pled them out and they surrendered, they left, but Alfonso wanted to stay because he had other charges, so he remained the big dog in there. And so yeah, he started working with the Faceless. Fast forward a couple days, and Alfonso, at least we suspect, planted a series of mines surrounding the the surrounding of like Bolingbroke Penitentiary, in between the walls we had constructed and the gates of Bolingbroke. He then forced the non-Clevelanders, which included El Queenie, who is his daughter, to disarm those landmines, which were vehicles that were strapped with bombs. He alleged that we had placed them there, which just is inaccurate. We don't even have those equipment. But he used it as a punishment to say, why are you not on our side? So he had El Queenie and others try to disarm it. El Queenie then got blown the fuck up. Alfonso and company then wanted her transported to CMC, except they didn't want her to come with us. Instead, they wanted armed Clevelanders, whom they were claiming sovereignty of, to fly to CMC while armed. We denied that. So Alfonso called the Faceless, and the Faceless ultimately flew after they bombed the shit out of us, and dwindled half our numbers. The Faceless flew in on a buzzard, a faceless doctor by the name of the name's escaping me. What the fuck's her name? Whatever. She's documented somewhere. Oh, Dr. Asher. Dr. Asher, as she's going in to do anything on Alfonso, Lang Buddha murks her. Because Lang Buddha wasn't a Clevelander. He's like, fuck the Faceless. And Alfonso's no, like, I'm the big dog. And because of that, now the Faceless turned on Cleveland. Now, given this situation, when we fast forward to when we provided medical to Eliza Stellano, Charlie contacted me, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times, as he had because of Skynode and their ability to pretty much see everything. Said, hey, you guys have Alfonso and Lang in custody. You need to give them to us because we did you a favor because we're not bombing you anymore. This conversation was heard by a number of other officers on the roof. I made it very clear within earshot that we are not going to be doing this. He kept pressing the issue. And this is where the context of we had to do this way comes from. Because we would not give them to them, he instead bombed the rest of the PD and took them anyways. All right. Does that answer the question?
Yes. I do have another question, and then I'll turn it over to everybody else. What was the plan when you guys got them to Zancudo? Were they going to be housed there?
Yes.
So the black site was at Fort Zancudo, is that correct? Or
Correct.
to your knowledge? And that was like a government facility.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Yep. It's custodial is like the U.S. military in the state.
So was the plan to, once you got there, to hand them over to the U.S. military and they were going to sort of take it from there?
We would bring them into the black site, at which point they would be managed by the state.
And you never been to that black site before, though? Is that right?
No, because in order to get there, someone with state keys needs to operate the elevator.
Okay. I'm gonna add on to that. Just to be a little bit more concise. As far as I am aware, Director, they were to be remanded essentially into state or federal custody to be overseen by different state officials or federal officials, correct? And they're the ones that have access to that.
Yes. It would be very similar to how the U.S. military governs the Fort Zancudo today with the bunker.
Yeah, understood. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about the transport, and I just want to confirm, how many units were on the transport?
The amount mandated by the state.
So that was from the state?
Yes. And this was also shortly after a 1-hour-long tsunami in which state mandates of ensuring people aren't losing their minds was applied due to the limited number of officers whom managed through the hour-plus tsunami, as well as the suspects in our custody.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions about the transport?
No questions.
Which
from me.
I'm going to point out, which is why the statements that I was made aware of from McAllister initially, weeks prior to this, were difficult to navigate because unless you're stupid, some of those questions while you are seeing them take place, knowing what just happened, are rather foolish to be asking, right? I think you understand. Does everyone understand what I'm saying here? Or so I don't have to be more direct.
Say one more time, Brian.
Which is why these statements by McAllister, who's been in the city long enough, knows that some of the concerns he had brought up are very odd to be asking given the situation we were dealing with.
Yeah. No, I understand. Okay, and as I mentioned before, the purpose of asking you about the
Wait, does everyone
transport-
understand what I'm saying? I can be more on the
yes.
nose.
Yeah, no,
I
I
understand.
think I
Okay.
understand
All
as
right.
well.
The purpose of asking about the transport was really just to do our due diligence and have you speak on it in a recorded manner. We had spoken about it on the phone, and pretty much since that phone call, I was kind of the mindset of, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we can move on from this. So we would like to speak to you about Andre Tyson and his kidnapping. I guess first, we'll just start from your perspective on what you know about the situation, timeline of events. If you care to speak on that.
Sorry, say that again.
Well, could you speak on your knowledge of Andre Tyson's kidnapping and the timeline of events? Just kind of what transpired.
That is going to be very difficult for me to do because the timeline infers you guys know more than I do. I can only tell you where I began to suspect it. So
Okay. When did you begin to suspect he was kidnapped?
So I'll first reference the subpoena in which it states something about like so I'd actually brought to everyone's attention within SASM, not even specific to Andre, but rather the breadth of situations that the Truth was publicizing. The first incident actually was Carmela Corset was arrested. She was put into Bolingbrook as she had charges that she had been charged with on the docket. I don't remember what crim number it was. But after she had been put in, Hassan Bashari, who had not been apprehended, but was also charged, started to post out bounties on behest of the Faceless on Clark Mason and Luciano DiCenzo. And over the course of, I'd say, the next 3 days, those bounties kept going out. My understanding is the bounty was about $10 million. In fact, John Joyce and the 555 squad tried to claim that bounty, but they were thwarted by law enforcement, led by Oxby that day. That's when we learned more about the situation. Now, the reason I point that out is shortly after that incident is when the Truth started posting very similar, almost like AI articles. And that's what we, as well as a lot of the public, was referencing them as, the Truth being effectively AI slop. Not only because of the way that it's wording things, but there's a lot of like inaccurate information that they were posting. Eventually, one of the posts referenced Andre Tyson being kidnapped. It alleged that I had kidnapped Andre and had tortured him. In fact, I paid very little attention to it outside of the headline, because I remember reading the first little bit and I was just like, this is just some dumb shit, and I kind of disregarded it. As far as my recollection goes, those articles did not start on the 17th, as noted in the subpoena. If the Twatter subpoena, which I'm assuming y'all have issued, because that was something we went to go seek during my time as director, but I never saw the conclusion of it, which I hope you guys are getting, since it would be exculpatory. I'm pretty sure that they started well before the 17th, which I think is cited in the subpoena. If I'm not mistaken,
they were on various days.
Well, I mean the initial posting of it. Yeah. So it says the 17th, but that doesn't. Let me double check. Does it say the 17th?
I think Shields is looking.
I know when I was reading through that subpoena a couple hours ago, like my eyebrow kind of went up, because I'm like, I'm pretty sure that shit was coming out like well before then.
Yes, one of them had a date going back to August 6th.
Okay. All right. So I had eventually made note of that. Someone could have pointed it out to me. Maybe I saw it on Twitter. And that's when I first kind of even had an idea that Andre may have been taken. That suspicion increased as Carmela Corset called me and also started claiming, and this is how I know it was like sooner than then. Carmela Corset is my ex-fiance, who's also in 3POS, also, you know, in that Faceless circle. She was like, oh my God, what did you do to Andre? Oh my God. And like, I was like, you know, I was like, you're crazy. And then we talked about exchanging urine. But a couple days then went by, and there was a situation at the chicken factory in which Andre was dumped. This was around the time I think I was like with Opal and Miller, ? It was the day that effectively Angel came up to me and said Dragon shouldn't be in prison, and there was a whole thing, and then I had to talk to Miller and Opal about it because, you know, Dragon Rush had tried to break out a bunch of people, and we had him in their hold. It was like a whole thing. So I was dealing with that situation, and I received a phone call, and they said, we've got Andre. And I had come on scene well after, I guess, the pursuit had started. I know very little details about it other than showing up, remembering that Veronica Mars was treating him. And I remember he was dumped in front of the entrance of the chicken factory, like the little garage door. And it was mentioned on radio that Michael Manx's vehicle was being pursued. So
Units pursued a vehicle during that situation?
that was my understanding. Yeah. It might have been Voss and Ventura, but like I can't say with certainty. I know that it was said on radio and there was an ongoing pursuit. There was, I think, like maybe 4 cops on the scene with Andre, and there was pursuit comms.
Do you have an idea of what day Andre was kidnapped?
I have zero idea up until Sparks mentioned the 3rd, and then further of an idea after I got the subpoena. I will say this, there had to have been a pursuit because otherwise it would make no sense why there was chase comms when we had Andre. And that's how the RO was received, Michael Manx. I later found out that And I imagine it's in the report somewhere. Miller may know, or Veronica might know, because she tends to work with us in Homeland pretty directly. Don't quote me on this. This is what I think I remember being told is that Andre was screaming help, and then units started to chase it. And that's when Andre was dumped out.
And once Andre was dumped out, did the pursuit continue at that point, or
I
did
have
units just-
zero idea. I had come in like at the tail end.
So when you're saying there was pursuit comms, it was
They said hop on,
before-
I think, the 311s, and these are, you could probably check this because I think IT can actually pull this.
Mhm.
There was, I think I was at the Noose with Opal and Miller, question mark, or if not with them, with 2 other people. And I was told to get on channel 1, and I believe there was 311s for it as well. But if you check the date of when we got Andre, you should be able to get the 311s. And since you already got my records, you could just, you know, match the times or whatever.
So I do have a question. There was a pursuit on that vehicle. But were you aware that officers were told to break off the pursuit?
I have no idea. Not that I'm aware of. In fact, I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly certain I even asked, do we still have the vehicle? But it's so long ago, I can't say with 100% certainty. I don't think anyone said for anyone to break off, because that would make 0 sense.
Would it surprise you if, you know, to confirm, we believe that Andre Tyson was kidnapped on Monday, August 3rd, which would be 2 days before, you know, he was found.
Now, no, because of what I'm assuming, like, I mean, based on the subpoena and stuff, I guess, like, if that stuff's accurate, he was. I was saying in present terms or like prior to all this?
Yeah, just you know, would there be anything to your knowledge that would make us, you know, consider that maybe it was a different day?
Well, I guess I have not seen anything that even infers. So the only thing that I'm aware of that Andre even was like, I'm going to put it like this. We can say with that he was probably tortured given the condition that he was in and the pursuit of a besties vehicle, aka Michael Manx's, on that scene. That's the only thing that even infers those actions took place, right? But when that took place, who's to say, right? So
Did any officers ever come up to you prior to Andre being found and state that they received a report he was kidnapped?
you'd have to jog my memory. You have to understand when you're director of the marshals and dealing with 30 subpoenas, this, that, and the third, and drama, and 80% of the PDs like effectively not assisting, I get a million questions a day. So
Okay.
oh wait, it might have been Ruby had brought it up. I don't know. Ruby, possibly.
Do you remember what that conversation was?
No, I barely remember a name. And that's if that even occurred. Like, I now that you're bringing it up, like, it's kind of like, okay, it could have happened, but it's hard to say with the amount of things I had to service on a daily basis.
Did D-Link ever speak to you about a report that Andre was kidnapped?
Not that I recall. D's not exactly someone that is easy to know what he's thinking. No offense, Shields, but he's kind of like an orc. He's
like a what? I'm sorry?
An orc, like from World of Warcraft.
Oh, okay.
So, or like, you know, the Warcraft series. So with D, who is an investigator and has been, hasn't actually done what I'm not trying to dog on him. I'm just trying to be rather transparent. Has not actually worked on any of these subpoenas and whatnot. I grew accustomed when it came to D that he was like kind of the guy you would put on the pursuit. Cause he, you know, he'll kind of ask you things, but they're like open-ended. Like, do I seek this car? Do I, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, so if he brought anything to me from an investigatory perspective, it would have been a very open-ended, how do I do my job question, right? Do I need to like expand that a little bit? Does everyone know what an orc is here?
No.
Okay.
Understand what
Like
you're
from
saying.
World of Warcraft, like zug, and then you push you click on the zug, and you click the tree, and then it starts dropping. You know.
I don't play video games.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I get the gist of what you're saying.
Yeah. He's good at it though. Like he's a good tree chopper, you know.
So,
and in the case of trees, it's going to be like a vehicle that needs to be pit.
So to run you through,
I will say this.
Maybe this will just jog your memory a little bit. To run you through what we understand is that Maxwell received a phone call stating that Andre Tyson might be kidnapped. She then approaches D because he's Homeland. And D said that he approached you about it. Does any of this ring a bell or no?
I mean, look, it could have happened. I mean, I get approached a bajillion times, but recalling a incident from what would have had to have been weeks ago now, there's no way I'm going to recall that situation. But I can give a general answer. Homeland is tasked to go after the Faceless. The amount of incapable law enforcement sort of was very much exposed throughout the last 4 weeks. And this is not pointing at D. D's been good when it comes to doing the captures. But oftentimes people wanted to do things that were not in line with our mandate and the task at hand. So, if he came up and said, hey, this thing, can I do this thing? The question would have arose, do you have anything actionable, right? But if the question is, was he stopped from working or doing any investigations? No, of course not. Like, if someone, a investigator, believes that they need to investigate something in relation to the Faceless, then they should do so, right?
Would there be a reason, if that was the case, that a report would not be filed for a missing person?
if you're telling me that Maxwell received this, then Maxwell should have written a report, right? And if there is a alleged missing person, then someone should work it.
Is there any
Like,
reason...
we're not, like, Homeland, as with SASM, rather transparently, is not a trash can where useless, ineffective cops that can't investigate or understand RS just kind of dump their work on. And no offense here, Shield, this isn't an ODPD only thing. This is like an across the board thing. So
kind of going off of what Shield said.
So I hope,
then,
I guess what I'm trying to say is I hope not. Because, like, if you're receiving that shit, you got to write the report and you have to use your, your resources and the department and those that are involved to, run that situation through.
Is there any reason that you can think of why you would direct him not to make a report for that?
That would be brain dead. Everything gets reported. If there is a incident that we individually as law enforcement believe to be important, you write a report. I mean, shit, the interaction I had with Andre today, that's why I went right to Rhodes. It's got to be put into a fucking report. Wait, did D say that I told him not to write a report?
Yes.
Okay, well, Zug.
So we're trying to understand how we got to that point.
That is a question for D and a question for Maxwell, to be honest.
Well, we already spoke to D about it. That's why we were, asking you on the other end. Maybe
No, that would be idiotic.
Maybe there was a misunderstanding there.
I don't know how there could be a misunderstanding for there to be a question as to whether or not he should be writing a report about a missing person that his chief of police is telling him about. Like, that doesn't make it, like, there ain't no way. Brian, should I write this report? My chief told me about an incident. What the fuck? My guess, if, like, there was a misunderstanding, the only thing I could imagine happening is do your work, dumb fuck. And maybe that was translated to, well, I guess I won't do anything then.
He said that I'll just be blunt. He said when he spoke to you about making a report about it, you directed him not to avoid rumors.
There's no way that conversation happened. I can't even... I'm pretty good at remembering and retelling things. And I can't, for the life of me, understand how that scenario would have even come to be. Including, once again, not limited to, if I had said any of that, which I did not, it doesn't even make sense. Those words aren't even something I would say. Why he would not write the report to begin with, let alone Maxwell wouldn't write the report to begin with. When are we ever tell our officers or expect our officers to not write a report on a missing person or any other belief of criminal activity? What would be the reason not to do it, and what would be the reason to ask for it to begin with? And even if it was believed to be a rumor, which I don't know where that's coming from, why would you not still write the report?
The
So
director of the marshals told you not to, I guess. According to D.
yeah, well, sounds like D's a dumb fuck. So
Crime.
did he go further into it? Like, did you guys like pull at how odd of a scenario that would have been?
Yeah. I mean, I asked him, I said, have you, in your time as an officer, we asked him about, him writing reports, and Dee went on to explain that he's diligent with his reports. That this was an odd situation for him, as in his experience as an officer, he has always written a report for a potentially missing or kidnapped person, so this stood out to him.
He's
This
diligent?
conversation. Shield, you asked you if you can speak on that.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you one thing about D is he is a strickler when it comes to reports. He, even for minor traffic stops, he will make sure that he has that. When it comes to like paperwork and things like that, he makes sure that his I's are dotted.
Have you looked
from
at
my
the
experience.
Have you looked at the list of those who are producing in Homeland the last 4 weeks?
I haven't looked into that specifically.
Yeah, because that's not, might be worth an audit of that. But once again, yeah, no, that didn't happen. I don't know why he's saying it. I don't know why Maxwell didn't write a report. I don't know why D didn't write a report. And I don't know why you would even ask to write a report to begin with.
I'm just curious what you mean by that didn't happen. Do you mean that conversation never happened, or
The scenario that he's alleging, right?
So you would say that that's something that you would never do.
That
you would never.
It is so
instruct someone-
illogical. I cannot imagine a scenario to even explain why D is even remotely thinking that, let alone not having written the report, or Maxwell not writing a report, or thinking that he would need to ask someone about the report. So that's why when I said Zug Zug, I can only imagine like some random thing being said and not like people in the room not paying attention, and he'd just be like, "Oh, guess I got to do this." You know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, what am I wrong to say that everyone in this room would write a report immediately after getting told that someone's missing?
Yeah, the understanding that we had was the reason it was handled in the manner in which it was is because Maxwell received a number. She didn't know who that number was. They stated that Andre was missing, and she turned that information over to Homeland since it concerned one of the individuals that was on that list, and he was going to follow up on that, and that's why he had that conversation with you.
Did we find out what the number was?
All that's recorded.
Okay. Wait, I'm confused. So we found out we didn't know what the number was, but then found out what the number was, but there's not a report?
No, so the number is documented, like Maxwell has that information, and all that information was turned over to D, and D took, according to D, he took that information, and I had a conversation with you at Davis about it, in which he was told not to file the report.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I think we can move on.
So wait, was there a report? Or was there not a report if it's documented?
It's not a report. That information was given to D, and the report was not filed because of, again, D's statement was he was told not to file that report. That is so cooked.
Yeah. Did Maxwell write a report?
No, she gave over all that information because it concerned Faceless over to her contact, which was D-Link in Homeland.
Okay, just for the record, I hope people are writing reports when they get information, and there is always a opportunity to change the categories. Like, holy fuck.
That's something that can be mentioned to everyone to make sure that they understand, no matter what, to write a report. Okay. Do we want to talk about the timeline?
Before we do, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Were you aware that there was DNA that was found on the food that Tyson had on him when he was dumped at the chicken factory?
Someone mentioned churros. That's the extent of it. Is that what it is, or am I misremembering?
I don't know.
I believe it was
churros. I think it was soup or something.
Yeah, I think it was soup.
Oh, no. The only thing I can recall is churros. Someone ran like DNA on churros.
Specifically to the Tyson incident?
The last time I remember DNA was churros when it came to Homeland stuff. So
just to be
if
clear,
it's
that
if
didn't
it's
have
not
to
churros
necessarily
and if it's not churros for this thing, I'm thinking of something else.
Gotcha.
It was some water and some cans of soup.
Yeah, no idea.
Did you know that they ran DNA on that food that was found?
I'll be. I think this is going to answer the question a lot more clean. I believe DICE was working that case. Anything related to that would be something that DICE would be directed to. So specific details of this, that, and the third, I would not even be paying attention to. So if there was DNA, sure. If there wasn't, sure, right? The only thing I recall investigatively was the Manx vehicle, him being dumped at the chicken factory, and DICE working the case.
So is your understanding that DICE was actively looking into the DNA that was found?
The case, I don't know about the specifics of the case.
Did you know he was directed to not look into it further at the time that he found the DNA?
No, that's some bullshit that DICE came up with, and then, in fact, later confided in Peters and company that he overstated everything. DICE had, if I off the top of my head, 5 different things that he was working. The most major of which was the death of Aiko Young, as well as the attack on Stee by Ray Romanoff, in which, and Ray, for the record here, is a enemy of the state. That docket case was being worked on with him and Jong, who is also super. But both DICE and Jong had a shitload of stuff on their plate. DICE was also meant to be writing subpoenas and search warrants for Ray Romanoff. Now, mind you, Ray Romanoff has 0 properties. And as such, his investigation was to extend on to the Habibis, who we know are like holding the Habibis' weapons, right? So if Ray puts all his weapons into one of his sad fucking gang members who just is going to take the hit. That was his job on that. And the third was that he was working on the Dante murder by Steve. With all of that on his plate, my understanding was that DICE was to get everything needed for that case with Andre and make sure it is in a state that can then be worked on when his time allows. As the priority for the death of Aiko Young, the raids on Ray Romanoff, who's a primary actor on the attacks, and the Dante death, who died posting a bunch of Faceless stuff while in prison, was murdered by a Faceless asset who spoke to Charlie during the death, was all a priority. So no, he would not be pulled off the case. Homie had case syndrome where he had 5 things open. And I believe the instructions that Miller gave him was to prioritize, but to ensure that the case was in a place where it could be resumed or passed off.
Okay.
Was this situation not already concluded? Because I believe the same thing was alleged towards Miller until DICE finally came clean. Was that a part of our conversation a couple days ago there, Moss, while you were there?
To be fair, Brian, we spoke for like an hour.
No, in the room with Rhodes and
so there was a lot that went.
No, it was you, Miller, me, and Rhodes. Didn't we talk about it that day?
I don't remember. I think at that point I had already been in meetings for a couple hours, and I don't remember everything that was said during that conversation, because I believe the focus of that conversation was to talk about the Besties incident that had occurred the day before.
Has DICE and Miller been approached on this?
Yes.
Well, I mean, they have. I mean, like, reapproached. That's why I'm, like, confused by the question. My understanding was that this was, a clear overstatement.
We've spoken to both of them. We'll probably do is just based on, this conversation, confirm facts with them again.
Okay.
And speak to others.
Understood. For the record, those other 3 investigations are still open as well. Before I was suspended, and presuming just based on the docket, they haven't concluded either.
Okay. Do you want to speak about the timeline now?
Yeah, I just real quick, you said same things were alleged towards Miller until DICE finally came clean, and I know you guys had a conversation about that separately, but what were the allegations?
Moss just brought it up. Yeah, she brought it up the other day as well. Yeah, what Moss brought up. Okay, the TLDR is DICE said, I was told not to work on this. Then he's like, well, actually, I was told to get in a state and make sure I get my other investigations completed. Because opening up like a bajillion investigations and not closing any is fucking useless, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. I love T-supping as much as the next person, but unless that's like amounting to something and, those things aren't being prioritized, it's kind of an issue.
Does somebody somebody just open the door in here? I'm hearing things.
I didn't hear anything.
I think I'm just hearing things.
I didn't either.
Okay, yeah. Moss, I'm good.
So Brian.
Yeah.
Our timeline of events. So we spoke with Andre Tyson, and
Ooh.
he.
I spoke to him
explained-
today earlier too.
Yes,
I thought he was gonna kill my ass.
I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah. And then Charlie got on the phone. He said he's down to show up as well. Because he's like, I don't think you did that shit. Actually, you should listen to you should ask him what Andre thinks.
Ask who?
Andre Tyson?
Yeah, we should ask Andre about your conversation with him today.
Have you listened to the tape that I gave Rhodes?
So Rhodes, he made a report. He sent it, over to us.
Yeah.
Pretty much when we started this. So I don't think any of us had had a chance to look at it yet or listen to that. But we're going to.
Can I state for the record, the whole notion that Brian Knight is going to, I honestly, we should have started with this. And no offense to you guys, because y'all aren't really tapped into the Faceless investigation, nor have really been clued into any of that. So please don't take offense to this. Anyone that is tapped into the Faceless stuff, thinking that Andre Tyson, the guy who literally snitches out everything he does, as can be seen on the very docket post where he says he did all that shit and, he goes and talks it all. It would be absolutely fucking retarded for me or anyone else to torture him, because he literally would just tell you on recording that he did X, Y, and Z. So from the very onset of like the tabloid magazine claiming these claims, it is kind of, from my position, fucking insane that there's even a thought that any member of law enforcement, let alone myself, would torture the guy that has nothing to hide. Now, if it was like Brandon Valentino or like Ray Romanoff, like that, okay, sure, that kind of makes sense. But Andre, like, come on, bro.
Well,
please continue.
We had a conversation with Andre, and because we wanted to get a timeline of events of what happened to him. And he stated that he purchased food at Senior Buns.
Oh, for the record, I'm not saying any of those people should be tortured, and I'm only making that disclaimer since one of my statements that I wrote in my letter was completely misrepresented. So just to be clear here, that's not a sign off that those things should happen. But if they were ever allowed by the state, you're not going to do that to Andre. That is a waste of time. Sorry, Moss, go ahead.
Thank you for that clarification. So Andre stated that he purchased food from Senior Buns. He went outside. Somebody approached him. They were asking him questions, and that was when he was kidnapped.
Okay.
Andre agreed to let us subpoena his bank for that day so we could get an exact time of when this happened. We have that time, and that is at 5:26 p.m. EDT. Because currently we are in EDT, we're not in EST apparently. So at 5:26, he purchased food. Approximately, we're gonna say, within like 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how long they yapped out front, he gets kidnapped. So as you were aware, Brian, we did do a subpoena of your phone records, and we have the call logs for that day for August 3rd. So we do have a couple questions about the phone calls that you made around that time.
Since this might be a good time for me to ask this question, since it's related. Now, my understanding is that the Faceless gave a video or like a tablet with a Faceless chip in it. And as I saw myself when Sparks, you handed it to me, you log in through the quite literal Faceless app, the OC something or other, which is utilized by the Faceless, like it is the Faceless network. It says as you're logging in, it says it in the login, it says it in as you're logging in, etc., etc. That display that starts with a video, which starts with a 7-minute monologue by Mr. Blue, demanding and encouraging the Chief Justice to effectively do something about me, the head of Homeland, the guy behind putting most of these guys in bars, and pleas to not just her position, but her ego. Not saying she has one, but the plead by Mr. Blue is towards her ego. Hey, if you don't do this thing, you are corrupt. Which then follows by a video by Clark Mason, whom up until the day of, and I say the day of, as Moss, I sent you that photo produced by Rhodes. Clark is no longer in militia uniform. Is now the guy who, for the past 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months, has been not only fighting the Faceless, trying to find his friends that were enslaved to make bombs on an island, was actively being hunted by the Faceless, was actively trying to go up in arms against them, had actively defended not just the prison, but also our water supply at Cyprus, who had been equipped by PD equipment and logged by Oxby, is now all of a sudden in a Faceless location making this allegation. Why has anyone questioned why we're bowing down to the Faceless and destabilizing our law enforcement against the fight against the Faceless over stolen records and allegations by someone in obvious distress if any of the records on Clark Mason has been, looked at? Where does how do we pass the line of common sense? Where does Occam's razor get thrown away?
That is a big question that, I'm not sure I can answer for you right now.
Yeah, I feel like that I needed to say that on recording as the very top of the tablet, as photoed in the subpoena. Give me a second here. It writes at the very top in red, we won't publicize this unless we have to. not only is that coercive, but I question not only the utilization of this, but taking actions on threat by the enemy of the state is in and of itself corruption. Because what is the consequence? And what was the consequence of beginning this and this situation on the eve of one of the biggest terror attacks that led to the bombing of not just Buccaneer Way docks, but Bolingbrook? And the question that I pose on the recording here, before we open this up to, those phone calls, is, are we saying that we are going to use for certain corruption to look into alleged corruption? And if we're doing this on behest of the enemy of the state, where does that sit? Right? Now, the reason I brought all of this up is not just to pose that question itself, but immediately after this video and the demands of this terror organization and a rather clearly coerced statement by Clark Mason, there is then the pruned text records. And when I say pruned, I specifically mean that there are a set of dates and a set of phone calls that lay out a narrative. However, what is pruned from there is every intersecting phone call and text message, which in turn was the basis of the initial suspension to begin with. So when you say the timeline, are we referencing the full scope of subpoena logs, which I do have, by the way? I did request the subpoena so I could follow along. Not the subpoena, but my call logs. So I've got August 3rd open. And looking through that alleged window, not only are there fucking phone calls with Forehead that start well in the morning into the evening and through multiple days, but also with Clark Mason and also other members of multiple organizations across the city. Are we talking about the pruned timeline, or are we talking about the entire scope of the records?
So we're gonna send you your phone call records, but we are gonna reference a specific portion of it.
Okay.
Is that sufficient?
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking here, is it a matter of record, the volume of calls that I've made over the span of these phone subpoenas and the phone calls to these subjects outside of this scope as well, or outside of this specific time?
Say it again, Brian.
You're going to be referencing some phone calls, which I'm, so I got something from Shields here. Is this what you're referencing? Oh, no, sorry. I got something from Spark. Spark sent me something from August 3rd at 5 p.m. to August 3rd at 9 p.m.
We're also going to send you just the full, that's an excerpt, just so it's easy to follow along, but we are going to send you the full thing just so that you can see it.
All right. But just to be clear here, even these are removing all the phone calls and text messages in between these dates, because I'm looking at my records right now.
Well, the thing is, Brian, is I believe that there was 2 phone calls that aren't on that to Rafi Lee, but that was the only thing that in your phone calls was
I see
different.
I see more phone calls in mine.
What are you referring to exactly?
I got Brandon in here. I got Jonah in that window. I'm just Reggie Might. I'm just skimming through at this timeline. Yo, you said hand yourself in. I'm here. Do your worst, says Reggie Might. 8 p.m. What window am I looking at? I'm looking at my version as well.
So you have a copy of this. You have a copy of your phone records?
I have
from...
Sparks's, but I also have my records that I'm looking at.
So just for the sake of I'm going to send you the copy of the phone records that was given to us. Actually, Sparks, I believe that was sent to you originally. I want to I don't want to accidentally send him the wrong thing. Can you
That's fine.
send him just forward him what was sent to you?
Yeah, I'll just forward the direct email from Falconer.
Thank you.
It's not an issue.
So the excerpt, just to confirm, the excerpt that was sent to Brian, that was translated from GMT to EDT, is that correct?
Yes.
So can you just confirm where on the original phone records this starts in
Sure.
GMT?
Yeah, give me a second.
Oh, I've got EDT on mine, so I can match it 1-to-1.
It says 9:30:25 is the first call to 5648 that lasts 1 minute 23 seconds. And then 5648 at 9:34 GMT for 27 seconds.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And then
know that they would have cherry picked
9:35:32
these calls had I not
GMT at 25 seconds.
had I
from
not
that to
pulled
forehead.
my own records, so they can't play that game. They literally
And
removed
then
a
there's a
bunch of
missed
shit.
call from
Wait, sorry. Are
5648.
you relaying what you sent me an email in GMT time?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have.
It is what I asked for.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I am looking at both, so I just want to double check something.
Yep.
So give me one moment, please. Okay. So you had mentioned that there was something missing.
What I'm saying is that the Faceless app to which this investigation opened and actions began to get taken were based on cherry-picked call logs out of a full subpoena, as well as a narration, as well as a threat of action by enemy of the state. And these records that I'm looking at, and it was forwarded by Sparks, are also cherry-picked. And as such, I am just making note of that on the recording. I don't mean that in any kind of negative way, but
Allow me to clarify. What do you mean cherry pick? This is directly from the judiciary, is what we're. I apologize. That's the raw data that we have.
The
Is
excerpt.
there an accusation? The expert. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, the excerpt.
Okay.
Yeah, the expert.
Yeah,
The excerpt that you sent me It starts on August 3rd at 5:09, like 5 o'clock, 9 seconds.
5009.
And then that
correct.
excerpt ends at August 3rd, 8:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's removing a lot of the phone calls that come before, afterwards, in between, etc., etc. That's what I mean by cherry picked, right?
Understood.
Yeah. And referencing the photos from the Faceless app, it is very similar, right? So, and just for sake of brevity, at 5, like when I look at August or 8/3/2020, what the fuck month is it?
It's August currently.
Okay, it is. All right. This
No,
when I look
forgot
at
to.
August 3rd at 5:09, right? Right before that, I got a call with Cohen. Right before that, I got a call with Marlo Stanfield. Right before that, I got a call with Forehead. Before that, I got
the intention of the shortened time frame that was forwarded over to you, Director, was the intention to discuss those particular calls.
Absolutely. I'm pointing that out just for the record, right? Because the calls that I just mentioned, and I can keep going on, and you can certainly reference this yourself as if you're looking at it, is that these aren't like an hour before I made this call. No, these are back to back calls, right?
Sure.
Which is kind of my life, right?
And obviously the raw information that you have received yourself is going to be part of the little package that is sent over to the state for their own reference and review. This is our timeline to which we intended to discuss with you.
Okay.
We're not hiding anything from the state, or we're not trying to paint a specific narrative. The intention is that they have all the raw data and what we extrapolated and investigated.
You understand my concern, right?
When I say
cherry picked or framed timeline, I say that because this began with the Faceless doing it, and when I see it, it also creates a narrative driven what were these calls about, right? But please continue.
It is not unlost on this investigative team that the Faceless and that information that was stolen by the Faceless, that there is an obvious agenda behind their terroristic actions. That is not lost on everyone here. In fact, it was the first thing that I brought up to the Chief Justice upon receiving the information.
Okay.
But if you would like to continue, please, that way we can stay on task and not take up anyone else's time further than is necessary.
This is necessary for me, motherfucker. Sure. Excuse me? I'm sorry. I'm on your time now. Not that we're under threat. What the fuck?
The call that happens at 5 p.m.
Just ask the question.
As well as there are other calls that take place. That person calls you, you call them back, call them again.
This feels like they want Knight to be like, I did it, and if I say that I didn't, it's a bad thing. Okay. Are you asking me like what those calls were about?
No, I'm asking who was that called to at the number ending in 5648.
Wait, where is it again?
It is at 5 p.m. EDT, 9 seconds, I believe. The first call is about 8 seconds long.
I have no idea what that is.
You don't have that phone number?
Let me see. I don't see it on my thingy. Let me check my phone. What is it again? Could you give me the last 4 digits? I'm looking at my contacts.
5648.
56 what? Sorry.
5648.
This is Clark.
Okay. Do you remember what those calls were about?
It could be anything, to be honest.
Do you remember having a 5-minute conversation with Andre Tyson approximately 14 minutes after that call with Clark Mason?
I spoke with him. I spoke with Brandon. I spoke with a bunch of assets.
Do you remember what that conversation was about?
I no. I mean, I call these guys all the time. It may have been about, I mean, it could be about a number of things, to be honest. Like, I'd say, like, in that date range, we were trying to get information, more information about the Faceless Island. It could have also just been random banter.
So I'm just going to shoot straight with you, Brian.
Mhm.
Andre Tyson purchases food at Senior Buns. According to his statement, he then, within a few minutes after that, gets kidnapped. That happens at 5:26 p.m. EDT. It is alleged that Clark Mason kidnapped him.
Yeah.
And that the besties were involved with this. During this time, you have, and I will just count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 calls within approximately 30 minutes.
With who, sorry?
Hold on. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 calls within approximately 17 minutes with Clark Mason and Forehead, and then a number that we believe is Andre Tyson's burner phone.
I learned that today through Andre.
Within 17 minutes of him being kidnapped.
Okay.
What were these phone calls about?
That is presupposing I knew anything. So I'm gonna set the stage here since y'all didn't listen to the Rhodes tape. So this will give you context. When Andre pulled up to me, he told me, after I was surprised he didn't kill me, he goes, "Why are they saying you did this to me?" I'm like, "Brother, why would I, like, that doesn't make any sense. What am I going to get joy out of torturing you? You literally tell us everything. It's fucking bullshit." He goes, "Well, you know, they questioned me about it. And also Charlie told me that they took my burner phone and pinged you." I was surprised by that. I think it had been briefly mentioned by Sparks when we first discussed this, when she first gave me the tablet. I then asked him, "What's the number?" I then plugged it in. And what I see on my phone, which I then referenced with my phone subpoena, is an expired ping and me putting a question mark 3 hours later. And all of that was happening in the midst of me speaking with somebody. Completely unrelated, which can be seen on the timeline. So, I understand where you're coming from like having all this narrative from the Faceless, but from where I am, I can tell you that I didn't even fucking know about this. The whole ping thing is not even something that has been anywhere on my mind until it was brought up now recently. And to know what those conversations were about on this date that long ago, I couldn't even begin to tell you, right? I can only speculate because, as you note, this number of calls in these, you know, in these slice of window, those same numbers, those same people I speak to all the time and had been over that course of a month. So it could have been anything, right?
Whose number ends in 8174?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. What was the question, Moss?
Whose number ends in 8174?
Oh, Brooklyn Baker.
Do you remember why you texted that to Andre's burner phone?
Let me see.
Oh, I'm sorry, not to his burner phone. It was
yeah.
to his new phone number, the 3769.
I think that was a text message. Question for you, Knight. You said
Wait, give me a second just so I can answer.
Today.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
He was the one.
Hold on. Let me answer a question first. I'm like multitasking because she asked me, and
Sure,
I
of
don't know
course.
what the this is. What time are we talking about?
8:41 p.m. EDT, August 3rd.
August 3rd at 8?
8:41.
Oh, I was looking at September for some reason. One sec. You're asking me why I sent... Yeah, she's a Homeland investigator. I probably saw it on the yellow pages and sent it. Brooklyn Baker in Homeland is one of the individuals that puts together POI lists, etc., etc.
Why would you send her number to Andre?
Wait, what do you mean? That's me sending Brooklyn Baker Andre's number.
Am I misreading this,
I
guys?
think you might be.
Am I
Moss.
getting
I
this
think,
backwards?
Yeah,
I
she's
think so.
receiving
Brian
investigative information on Andre.
So Knight sent a text message to
that
8174.
the way that it reads, it's written a little bit funny.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
that makes
written-
that
So
makes a lot more sense.
If I were to guess,
Yeah.
Andre probably called my ass. We're like, "Oh shit," and then I sent it to one of our key investigators. Like, I don't.
yeah. What happened there is a text message going to Brooklyn with Andre Tyson's
okay,
phone
that makes a lot more
number.
sense.
Yes.
That yeah. The way that I read it, it
Yeah.
read like you texted this number on. Okay, yeah, I got it now. Thank you for clarifying that.
Brian, you mentioned you talked to Andre Tyson today, and you stated he was saying, why are they saying they did this to me, or that you did this to me? That was just
and
to
then,
clarify. That was
and then he's
Tyson
like, "I'll
saying
come."
that to you.
Correct. I gave that whole recollection over to Rhodes. In fact, Andre was like, "Hey, yo, can I come in with you?" Like whenever they talk to your ass, and then Charlie called him, and Andre's like, "Hey, yo, dog, hey, Charlie, do you want to come to this thing too?" And like talking about like VPNing in and all this other shit. So
right,
pretty much it went from, oh look, I was speaking with fucking. I was at the View. I mean, you can listen to the whole recording, but the TLDR is I was speaking with someone at the VU, the fucking dude in Manor. What the fuck's his name? He's kind of dumb, but he's funny. He had the LMG and the vault robbery.
Dumb but funny does not narrow that down with people who live here.
Yeah, it's
oh
good.
my
We don't
god!
need to get into those details.
Oh, whatever.
We're good.
He rolled up, thought I was dying. We had a chit chat. He brought up the subject. Oh, it was James Molding.
Gotcha.
And then you know, he brought up being brought in for questioning, and that's how this whole, you know, that whole topic came up. And then
Gotcha. And Tyson mentioned they took my burner phone and pinged you with it. He mentioned that? Okay.
Yep. So someone told him that is the way that he said it. He said that he was led to believe that occurred. to which I asked him, what's the number, to which I then searched in the subpoena that I received yesterday evening, to which I saw that snippet there, and I looked in my phone, and it's an expired ping. So I don't know if you guys know this, but if someone pings you, you have 10 minutes to accept it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you don't, you don't even know what it is. How
Can I correct you for
how-
a second?
yeah, sure.
The pings do not need to be accepted. They show up during the 10 minutes, and after that, they do expire.
Wait, isn't that what I said?
You said you need to accept the ping. The pings do not need to be accepted when they're sent through the phone text.
No, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that the ping, like the app on your phone, is on display for 10 minutes after it is no longer visible, right?
Yeah. Question about that ping. Did you notice that ping at all at the time?
No, I didn't even know. Like, my recollection of a ping, first off, my recollection about any of this stuff is grasping for ideas, right? Because I don't have a like a mental foothold of what was occurring that day. And the closest thing I could have is when Sparks brought up the investigation and what I was doing on the 3rd. And my only way to try to get a foothold was by searching reports on 8-3 to give me like kind of a rough estimate of what was going on that day. Let alone knowing anything about a ping. The specifics of a ping and what I just got done mentioning here about looking it up on my phone and looking it up on the subpoena, and I have no idea what that could have been. It's certainly not something that I can speak to today, right? Nor do I have any recollection of receiving it. I'm going to simply assume that based on my records, me sending a question mark 3 hours later, I may have went through after I was done yapping for multiple hours, probably went through my text messages, noticed this random number, and I can send you a photo of it, how it looks like on my phone, but it's literally just an expired ping with a question mark with a 3 hours in between. So
Yeah, can you actually send me that?
Yep.
That'd be great, Brian.
What's the last 4 digits?
Of the phone number? The ping came
Yeah,
from?
because I gotta
So
scroll way
it's
down and then I gotta search it.
9239.
Yeah. I'm gonna send this to Moss since I've got a window open with her on my
That's
Discordia, and then she can,
Yep.
pass it along.
It's fun.
It's called emails, Brian.
I'm gonna be real. I think we should just call it.
Y'all motherfuckers gonna say it's called emails after I've been having to talk about state shit for fucking a week, man? Come on, man. Shit. You know what is the state? We need to like,
what is this?
yeah, we need to like define the terminology, because everyone, I think when they discuss it, they talk about it from like different perspectives. Is it the paradigm? Is it a state agent? Is it like, you know what I mean? Like, it adds so much confusion.
You and I call the state the same thing, Director. I'm 100% certain of it.
Let me see. No, we don't, because then you wouldn't have asked me a bajillion questions and keep. All right, there we go. There you go. All right, I sent that to you, Moss.
I have a straightforward question for you, Brian. Do you have that
Hey,
number
you know
saved
what's
on your
crazy?
phone?
I do not. No.
Okay. Do you know, is it something that you knew?
Did I
that
know
number
in
belonged,
advance of Andre telling me today? No, absolutely not.
So before that, you didn't know that number was Andre's?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Is there a reason why you would call that number on that same day?
If there were any calls, I can't really speak to it. So, because I mean, let's put this into perspective, right? If you, if you look through my call logs, and generally speaking, I'm the one that keeps the subpoena tool up to date because I get a bajillion calls. I mean, hell, Clark Mason, not only had like 15 damn phone numbers that required constantly adding, but some of those numbers swap hands. So if I received a call from this number, which I have to double check if that even occurred, you know, I don't save everything, right? So if there was a call, I'm not gonna, you know, could it happen? Sure, right?
Understood. Earlier,
am I gonna notice when I, you know, hit the pickup button? No, of course not.
Well, that's ultimately what I was going to ask you. Is like, I think 15 minutes before these timelines that we're all talking about, you had a 5-minute conversation with that number, and then later on in the day, it seemed like you called it twice. And that number, they didn't answer.
Okay. I can't say, man. Like, I could have been looking through my missed calls and just like going through all the missed numbers and seeing who I got to label. I mean, listen, when you're dealing with the Faceless and then also people getting hunted by the Faceless and motherfuckers got like a bajillion different numbers, you know, it's just pretty typical. In fact, I think if you look through my phone log pretty closely, a good number of those things don't even have names assigned to it yet. Wait, so hold on. Are you saying that I called Andre after the time the Faceless alleged he was already kidnapped?
Correct. You called it twice, and both.
Well, then why the fuck would I do that if I was involved? What? Thank you. I appreciate. No, I'm just
out why.
Yeah, I'm just. I'll give the obvious. So, like, if this motherfucker was getting tortured at that time and had something to do with it, why the fuck would I be calling the number?
Yeah, but the allegation is that Tyson didn't have his phone, and his phone was taken, and a ping was sent of his location from that number. So, the allegations being made is that Tyson was not a hold of his phone, that whoever took him had his phone.
Yeah, but then how does Andre have his phone now?
It's a different number. From my understanding,
no, he literally gave me the number today, man. He pulled it out, and I said, "What are the 4 digits?" That's how I found out about this ping.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't know if he was just, you know, I actually don't know if he still has that burner phone or not.
He literally, when I was like, because he told me, and you can ask him, literally told me that his burner pinged me, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said, what are the last 4 digits? And that motherfucker pulled it out, gave me the last 4 digits, which is how I know about this.
So are you saying he's still in possession of that burner phone?
Yes, he literally had it today. I mean, you could probably, did you guys not subpoena that number? Or have like a, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, yo, actually, while we're on this, and this is kind of for the record, did you guys subpoena Clark Mason, who's alleging he did this shit, and subpoena Forehead, who's allegedly involved in this shit, and see if those motherfuckers even talk to each other? Because, like, I'm just saying, Clark saying he did that shit, we believe it was the besties that did the torture. Did y'all subpoena their stuff and see if those motherfuckers are talking to each other? You know what I mean?
The allegation being made isn't that they were in contact with each other. It's that...
No, but based on the evidence that you already have and we've already discussed here, and because they're being RS for enemy of the state, which is, you know, involving those guys or whatever. Like, I mean, you guys used RS and enemy of the state with mine. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you think they did that shit, you still have to find out if the motherfucker was tortured. Where was he tortured? Did Clark saying he did that shit the evidence showing that, okay, it's forehead, fine. Well, then why are there, like, wouldn't you take who did they talk to on the third and be like, yo, did they talk to each other? Because, like, I feel like that'd be important to do.
Mm-hmm. And we are currently investigating, the other people involved with this as well.
But no subpoena yet, because I feel like that might answer everything for all of us. Because
Brian, we're not going to talk about
no,
the
it's fine.
investigations on the other people involved.
No, it's fine. I don't expect you guys to answer that, but I mean, come on, boys and girls, like, the way that answer was questioned, I don't think y'all did that yet.
Yeah, like I said, just keep in mind the allegations was the ping was sent from Andre's phone to you, and the coordination was basically you had the besties pick up Tyson and take him,
which is cooked, but also not just from the exculpatory nature of this investigation in regards to the allegations towards me, but just from a basic investigative perspective, needing the whole, like, getting all the information and then analyzing the information and seeing where it's leading is going to be important, right? So I'm just kind of, and that's why I'm pointing it out. I'm like, like, we're talking about all this, and I'm just pointing out the obvious, like, hey, the two alleged parties, one of which is saying he did that shit, probably under fucking coercion, because it don't make no sense why Clark would say any of that, let alone say it on a Faceless app when he's been trying to, like, fucking nuke the Faceless for 6 weeks. Like, did they talk to each other? You know what I mean? What was that? What was, like, was Clark even interviewed? In fact, I also raise this because in the conversation I had with Andre, and this is what I relayed to Rhodes, Andre Tyson was interviewed and, by his own words, released just like a gangbanger. Brian, this is what happens when you're not here. I put a bomb at the prison. He made to put the bomb down at the prison. The grenade thrown at Cassie, he said, was a well-thrown grenade. He freely said this. I didn't even ask him about it. And then when I said, so you killed Cassie, after he made that statement, he responded, it's hard to say because there's a lot of motherfuckers shooting her, and they just let me go. As for Clark Mason, I asked that question because yesterday, Apple, who's with Clark, and had been a part of the militia prior to the whole thing with Lang Buddha or whatever, and like them trying to shoot or whatever, and then all of a sudden them leaving the militia. This is Clark and Apple. The day before this video gets out and Clark is up on there, Apple comes up and pulls up next to me, and he's asking, hey, yo, why are you not on duty? Blah, 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 blah. And he brings up that the Faceless assets shot them up and then put Clark into ICU, and apparently a bunch of the Faceless guys just got to walk away. So I'm just kind of, it's confusing from where I'm sitting. You know?
I do have another question, Brian. Earlier you mentioned that the first time you knew about Andre being kidnapped was from the Truth article. Is that correct?
That's not the first time I knew he was kidnapped, because you can't just assume that this tabloid that's posted a bunch of random shit and inaccurate shit leading up to it has any veracity. But that's the first time I heard of the allegation. And as I mentioned earlier, I dismissed it. And, you know, I twat quite a bit recently, you know, when people are saying shit like I'm a demon. I don't know if you know that.
What do you mean that you had assumed prior that he was kidnapped?
I did not presume prior. I said the Truth article, I could not presume he was kidnapped based on that Truth article.
Oh, I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that Truth article already had a history of manufactured sort of statements, and I hope you guys have pulled all the Truth articles, since it's quite literally enemy of the state propaganda, and you can check the veracity of their prior twats leading up to it. So when I saw it, I just dismissed it, and I did not even address it like I do most other things on Twatter, because it was so, this is just some SBS shit, right? And I'm not invoking SBS, but that's quite literally, this is some scuffed ass bullshit. I'm going to ignore it, just like the Firestarter ones that were being sent out prior to that timeline.
That Truth article was put out the day after we recovered Andre Tyson.
Well, as I mentioned earlier in the recording, I don't think that's true. I think you
looking
like
at the subpoena that we have.
Did
from
you
the
get
Truth?
Did you get the Twatter like all the way back like 30 days? Because I'm pretty sure that shit was coming out. Like I'm like almost certain it was coming out well before then, because I remember before Andre was recovered, Carmelo was already saying shit to me about it, and I'm like, you fucking crazy. And it was around that time when the twat had gone out. So
we'll go back and verify that. But the subpoena that was pulled off that Twatter account with all their posts shows the first post being August 6th, which would have been the day after we recovered him from the chicken factory.
I don't think that's accurate, but are you sure?
We can double
yes,
check.
the subpoena does include all of the history from that one Twitter account.
From beginning to end?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's news to me. I guess my timeline of events might be off. I don't think that's accurate. Are you guys looking at like just that PNG? Are you sure there wasn't like a different PNG file with the same image? If you get my meaning?
No, there's multiple.
I do. This is the...
But what I'm saying is just for clarity here,
yeah,
you can have one photo with 4 different PNGs, but they're the same photo. Have you guys like actually clicked through those photos to verify this? Because that just sounds so off from what I recall that, you know,
the timing that we're going based off of shows when the twat was posted.
But you're saying it was the first time, and I'm saying I don't think that's accurate.
Okay. We'll double check and make sure that the history is there. But our understanding was that included everything.
The only thing I can think of, because that makes it starts to, I am so like certain that these were coming out before the chicken factory with Andre, based on my remembrance of my call with Carmela, that either there's other PNG files that are the same photo, just like recaptured and posted, or the subpoena's not long enough, or there's more than one truth, maybe with an extra underscore ran by someone else. But I definitely double check all that, because that don't sound right.
Okay, we absolutely will.
I can also check my records to see if I ever did a capture of it. But I would need permission to do so, because I'm not Frodo Baggins. And I do not have access to my photo reel that I would have taken while on duty.
All right. Anybody have any other questions for the Andre Tyson?
Just to confirm, you know, for the recording, did you have any knowledge that Andre was being kidnapped?
No. I only had speculative belief. Excuse me. Speculative belief that really started to develop into a little bit more after Andre was found. and during that call, the note of Manx's vehicle, because that then had me, mentally go back and be like, oh, there were some allegations on Twitter. Maybe there's some veracity to it. And then all this shit happened. So.
Okay.
Let me see. There might be some other things. I did make some notes. Give me just a second here. Oh, yes. For the record, is Angel's subpoena or notes about her phone call with Forehead a part of the submission to the state? In which
I don't know, but
Okay.
we can mention that to Angel that everything related to this obviously needs to
Okay. Because as it
be
was relayed to
accounted.
me prior to me asking Sparks if this was true, is I was called by Forehead, and I know this wasn't recorded, but I did relay this to Sparks on that day that Forehead had called me concerned that the backing that has been actively discussed with the state, and some of which Angel has been appraised with around like the whole idea of guerrillas and what would happen if there was a full invasion. They were concerned that, hey, are we getting pulled out of this or whatever? And like, what the hell's going on? And why is Angel calling me and saying that, you're involved in Andre's shit and blah, blah, blah. And according to their retelling, it went like this. They said Angel called Forehead and asked if he was deputized. He said no. He also asked if that they tortured Andre on behalf of me, to which Forehead said no, to which, according to Forehead, she called him a fucking liar. And after this, sent him a text message saying that she would offer them protection for quote unquote coming forward, which I bring this to light because if this is, once again, based on the previous comments about when the investigation started, this, that, and the third, is concerning to me as the individual on the other end of this and trying to maintain my role as director to fight the good fight. This creates an opportunity by the highest ranking member of the DOJ to give potential people that kidnapped and tortured an out, which is heavily fucking concerning, right? Because if they did that shit, and we all think they did that shit, and the Chief Justice is like, hey, dog, if you tell me it's Brian, I got your back. Brother, I'm going to get fucking, like the fuck, right? That provides a opportunity by any clear-minded, like, cop. Like, you're telling someone to fucking say some shit just to get out of something. So I don't know. I hope that the records that of her communication with Forehead on, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday of last week, when I got pulled into the office and Rose became my babysitter, are added to being pushed out. Now, when I combine that with the messaging by Mr. Blue and the messaging on the tablet, which is threatening and questioning her and urging her to remove the head of Homeland and the director of SASM on the eve of one of the biggest terror attacks, this is all fucking concerning. We are playing into their hands. Why? For what cause?
Well, your questions, have been noted on the recording, and
I'd like to make one other statement here. The other thing that I believe to be exculpatory is the hack of what I'm presuming were my records. Took place a couple days prior to this, based on the contextual notion, like what was happening. Sparks, you were on that call. Eventually, you attached late. You were up in Bolingbrook, where a series of individuals, where Brandon Valentino was caught during, which Shang Lu was found near. These individuals were on tablets under the bridge. They were then subsequently tableting in the area. We had like 3 separate chases, and 80% of PD fucked off or silently detached because in their mind, a random 13 alpha up in prison apparently takes more priority than someone like fucking tablet hacking around Mission Row PD, which is fucking insane, leading to only 1 pursuit channel and a couple of us playing defense over at Mission Row. That report is absolutely paramount when it comes to this. The other bit of question that comes to mind is the relationship with the archivist, who, for those of y'all that are read in, I know Sparks, you would be obviously, not only work with the Faceless, but they are quite literally the experts of doing this very thing. In fact, they hacked my records about a year and a half ago. Back when I was in BCSO, I believe. And what is the relationship with that? The next, which I Sparks, I'm sorry I got to say this. The day before this came up, Sparks over here said she wanted to join the archivists. And it was a discussion we had over at Ron Oil. I, hearing something like that, am not going to immediately pass judgment because in this role, I need to be bigger than that. The next question that I put up in terms of that is also exculpatory.
We can answer that question really quickly. I was offered 2 days ago
Sure.
by Craig Barrett to join the archivists. I told him no, and that I don't agree with their methods. I stated directly to Lucian Varthus when that was happening. We can clear it up. It's fine, Director.
Okay.
So 2 days ago, I was offered to join the archivist, to which I told Craig Barrett no vehemently. You're welcome to speak to him concerning that if you'd like. That is not hidden information. That being said, when I spoke to Lucian Varthus in the oil field, when on that day that happened, I made it very clear that the methods of the circumstance would need to be different, and it wouldn't necessarily need to be bound. I will not join a terrorist organization with the current morals and tools to which to go about it. Such as yourself, Director, you have stated, at least from my one occasion, that we both agree that there is corruption within the state government, and that we agree with the general principles of what the Faceless intend, but their methods are atrocious. So please don't take me out of context concerning that manner. There's not a chance that I would ever join a terrorist organization. I hold my oath very close to my chest.
Beautiful. And I do hope that those reports are submitted as a part of this, given that they can be exculpatory, given the nature of the hacks and the close proximity of those conversations in relation to my particular records being hacked by the same entities that have collaborated and continue to collaborate with the archivists. The next thing, and once again, Sparks, this is no shot at you. This is just, I have to do this. The question I draw is, who's the primary investigator? Who is going to be submitting this? It is a very odd choice from my perspective, not something that I would ever do myself for this very reason I outlined. Sparks, being under innately my command, is a very awkward position for you. You have been placed in a very awkward position. It creates a very inappropriate, puts us all in a very inappropriate spot. To elaborate, you are now in a position where you have to question whether I'm going to fire you, which I don't plan to, if you don't get me fired first. Your job almost depends on finding me guilty. And as much as I can say, I'm not going to fire you, and as much as you can say that you're still going to hold your head up and do the right thing, the fact of the matter is, that's what I know in myself, and that's what you know in yourself. However, from the position that a neutral party will need to evaluate this, it needs to be a matter of record. There should have been a party uninvolved with SASM entirely that reviewed this. Unrelated entirely from SASM who submits this. Because right now, they put a gun in your hand and a gun in mine, metaphorically. It's not fair on you. It's not fair on me. And this is not justice, regardless of whether it goes through the court system or not, or whatever process they end up going through.
That will be taken into consideration, Director. Thank you for your input.
Well, I would hope that consideration is by whoever reviews this, which I'm hoping is the state and not the person who opened the investigation initially by calling Forehead. Let me see. Oh, are charges being pressed against Chief Justice Angel for collaborating and doing the bidding of the Faceless? That's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, but it's a question.
With all due respect, Director, I'm going to cut you off. I'm not going to be discussing any of my other investigations in this matter.
Okay. Well, I do hope that is the case. My final question. When this was put forward to the state arbiter who put this recommendation forward, were they advised that that there was a massive terror attack that we were aware was going to take place, as I did advise you and Chief Justice Angel? Or did they make that decision absent that knowledge? But you don't have to answer that. I don't expect you to, but I did want to make it a matter of record. All right. Feel free to ask me any follow-ups. I think I covered the majority of... Oh, yes! One other thing. Another thing that's going to probably be exculpatory is there's a lot of talk about all these phone calls. I look at it through the scope of all the phone calls that I make with, members of Faceless Assets or whatever, trying to garner information. I have to service quite a bit, hence why there's a bajillion calls in my phone logs. And why most phone calls end and another one starts, and they're interlaced with text messages. Talk to Jackie Snow. Man's losing it after 3 days. It's a shit job. You get a lot of communication going through. One of the things and topics that is going to be the bounties. Those bounties started about 3 weeks ago, around the time of martial law. I would say about 2 or 3 days afterwards. They have been posted by the judiciary, in which we are offering money to a number of individuals. There, in fact, is a website for it that has been up, where 2 of the enemies of the state are, I think it says like shoot on sight or something along those lines. I think I sent you guys that link. Moss, did I send it to you?
You did. And
okay.
I think I asked you about the shoot on sight thing.
So that is only for the enemy of the state. But throughout today and martial law, I get phone calls, but by like so many people, from the clowns to the besties, to Clark's group, to Alfonso Sebastian, to 555, to da-da-da-da-da, asking about, can we just murk these motherfuckers and drop them somewhere, right? So there has been known confusion, as it may read clear to us having intimate context, but to the readers of the posters or the website, people have a tendency to read what they want to read. And so what I'm noting here is, for someone outside of survival against a outside entity, have been actively calling us, myself and others, to fulfill these bounties, of which there is monetary gain. And I think a question needs to be raised. Did what happened to Andre, allegedly, because apparently none of that has gone deeper into the investigation, I'm assuming here, what was the actual cause? I know Faulkner was actually asking, who do we give the money to? In fact, he asked the same question when it came to Brandon Valentino. Unfortunately, that local that ran over Brandon, I don't know if he's getting paid out, locals and not having lives, but so might be worth taking a look at, when those bounties went up and when this shit went down.
Actually, I have a question for you, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Since the allegation made by Clark, have you spoken to him at all?
Nope. As I mentioned, I knew about Clark when Apple came up to me yesterday and said, it was either yesterday or the day before that. It was on Palomino Highway by the gas station, and asked me, why did the PD shoot up Clark when the Faceless were shooting us? And he said that Clark was in ICU. So that's also why I was kind of like, did y'all even talk to his ass? Because that motherfucker's in the hospital. I mean, unless he got out, but,
Do you, Shields Montez, do you want to...
Which, by the way, can I point out, Clark fought the best. I'm so glad you brought this up. Clark, alongside the militia, fought the Faceless for literal weeks. Alongside us, in fact. And then he leaves the militia, and has a canned video on a Faceless app saying, please get rid of director, otherwise you're gonna be a bad guy too, says the terrorists. But now that you bring this up, but now he's still getting clapped by the Faceless. Y'all realize that shit coerced, right? Because like it should be pretty obvious just looking at the plain facts here.
Montez, Shields, do you have any other questions?
Because like if fucking Andre and company clapped his ass up, like clearly he not on their side, and clearly he's not giving them just like dialogue and shit for the shits and gigs.
Director, were you made aware by an officer that Andre Tyson had been kidnapped and this information had been relayed to Haley Maxwell?
That was brought up by Moss about an hour ago.
About that.
See, I woke up, I'm like getting my second wind right now. I also woke up late just so I wasn't in cooked hours. So I'm like tapped in, you know what I mean? But yeah, Moss asked this question. It was about D-Link. That's where the Zug Zug World of Warcraft reference came from. And I'm assuming that D just didn't want to do any work, or he has some bizarro ass question that had zero context and then walked away thinking he didn't have to do anything. And Maxwell should know better, and D should know better, that if you're getting reports, you fucking write them. You don't need to go to Daddy and be like, Daddy, do I do this? Because even the excuse of, well, it could be Homeland related is a crock of shit. Because if something turns out to be sensitive, you can literally change the category from report to whatever the report type is. So,
Director Knight, does the name Michael Rusk mean anything to you?
negative. Doesn't mean I didn't call him though.
No, it's not related to that. I'm just curious. The name came up once during the the investigation.
Rusk?
I'm sure where that's RUSK, Robert Uniform Sierra Kilo.
I mean, is there any other information that? Let me see.
State ID 24236, which does not appear to have.
Does Sean know about this investigation?
Sean who?
From the Hounds. The reason I bring that up is there's a lot of questions coming my way from the Hounds. And Sean's name was brought up.
Not from us four.
Okay. All right.
There's no reason that any member of the Hounds that you're well aware of why I would not. And in fact, it's along with a long laundry list of people who are not allowed to see me. The Hounds are one of them. When if I were to have any medical information. So no.
You just jogged my memory. Sean shot you, I'm assuming? This is on the beach?
It is alleged. Yes, it is alleged that Sean McQuillan was the one that kidnapped me and someone else. Yes.
Sean, the T-Goblin that loves to listen to people yap and get in your fucking head, and next thing you know, he blasts you anyways, because, well, that's Sean.
All the Hounds are blocked away. I would rather be debadged and shot and my face beaten into oblivion than speak to any member of the Hound willingly.
So the reason I bring this up is, mind you, there was a twat by Charlie Jones that I was suspended a couple days ago. And I may have brought it up to one of y'all's attentions to be like, how? Now, mind you that I was initially told by Angel that I am not to speak about the investigation. And secondly, she didn't say that initially. It was afterwards when, all this other stuff happened, and she's like, you said some stuff at Bolingbrook, like, oh, yeah, like the fucking Bolingbrook is blown up. I have my own marshal that just died, and some dumb fucks decided it was a good time to suspend the director in the midst of this instead of afterwards, which is which is the more logical thing to do, but so be it.
Based on my extrapolation from a text message I received from a reporter while we're here, I believe that there are rumors milling because of the panel that has been placed in charge of the operation temporarily until you are reinstated.
Well, it was actually something else. Is after I was advised, after that, the day the whole prison thing got brought up and was noted as the reason why I needed to be suspended. That was what was quoted in that room. Please tell me if it was otherwise, because that's what Angel said. And there was all those witnesses around that room. Is that 2 hours later, there was a PD announcement that quite literally said, Brian Knight is suspended. So Chief Justice said, hey, that happened. That's why you get suspended. But don't bring up your suspension because it might bring down morals. And then there was this damn PD announcement that said I was suspended. And then all that shit started happening. In fact, Alfonso Sebastian also called me and told me that he was getting questioned about me. And he referenced that the investigator spoke to him and mentioned that I was suspended. He literally told me that.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Director Knight?
Okay.
Yeah, I got one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, you're gonna have to bear with me on this one. Because do you know Yuri Popov?
Oh, is this about the suicide vest thing? This is also some brain dead shit that D came up with. All right. So on the notion of absolutely,
what's going on with that allegation?
Abso-fucking-lutely. And you know what's great about it?
I think this is like a meme thing.
No, it's not a meme. This is D being fucking like retarded. which I hope the state official that listens to this doesn't get offended by that. To be
We're keeping
fair,
a counter for your words, Director.
yeah. D, just as much as the dumb fuck shit he says, just alongside Slow, both of which with, you know, hence the last name. D's dumbass, I think his, like, no offense here, Shields, is kind of, once again, a bit of an orc. Yuri Popov, so I mentioned the whole gorilla thing, right? And mind you, like, early stages, the intention was, if we get invaded by the Faceless, because they're arming on Faceless Island and may literally mow us down, PD alone is probably not going to be able to do much. So one of the ongoing conversations that have been taking place with my officials, which if you need to know who they are, I can tell you through a different channel, have been actively discussing that as an idea. And Clark and company were the first and only deputized individuals ever, as documented exceptionally thoroughly and signed off and notified by everyone. We're the only, they were a test. They're like a test, right? As for all these other non-faceless groups, we had been getting an idea of, like, if they would even entertain the idea of standing shoulder to shoulder with us in the event of an invasion. Yuri, and I think he actually called Ruby about this recently. When he called me and said, fuck these Faceless guys. We're the bigger terrorist organization. So I get it. Yuri and the League of Evil, they're kind of ha-ha hee-hee. But in their world and their mental, they are a fucking organization, right? So I don't want to downplay who they are, like, and they're like what they believe to stand for. He said that the Faceless are like competing with them, and he didn't like that. And he had heard about, like, you know, us using, like, people working for us, because in the papers, right, in the newspaper after the first, you know, when they were sworn in at Fort Zancudo. There's a photo of the gorillas and talk about it by the City Chronicle. He said, I want to do it too in my group as well, because fuck the Faceless. He said that he wanted to strap bombs on himself and they wanted to get sent in. This topic, when they were reapproached, and this was like, that bit was like obvious memes, because where are we going to get bomb vests from to begin with? It doesn't even land. We then had a conversation with Yuri and company, because we had agreed to talk, like, you know, a couple days later. It was myself. I think Veronica Mars may have been there. There was definitely an EMS. Miller was present. D was present. There was a couple people present. And the way that conversation went was they once again brought up the idea of them on their own accord, because of how much they wanted to assist, said, we're ready to put bombs on ourselves and run into the Faceless. By no means did we suggest it. By no means would we be capable of providing bomb vests, unless you guys know where the bomb vest might be, in what locker. And D started running around telling everyone that, because he's an idiot, that we, the police, want them to do this. And at no point was that acknowledged. At no point was that agreed to in any seriousness. And like I said, there was a bunch of witnesses to that conversation. So, yeah. I would ask Veronica. I mean, she's pretty yeah.
Side note, Director, you do need to change your password on sasm.work, because it's still that same password. I digress. Your password on sasm.work is still, I strapped a bomb to that bitch, but I'm not going to say what letters and numbers are changed out.
Wait, no, it's not.
Yes, it is. I just logged in the other day, like a week and a half ago.
Wait, doesn't it auto log in? Oh, okay. Well, for the sake of the recording, because you're memeing, that
I am
was
memeing.
something.
Sorry, I'm memeing. This is a
Yes.
joke.
The joke goes back to Sanguine, and the password is a joke by the IT specialist that worked on this, known as Ray, and he thought it would be funny, hence the password. There
Yes,
is
it's a
no.
joke. This is a joke. It's not exculpatory.
Okay.
It's not real evidence. I'll take a step back.
All right.
We'll redact this portion.
You logged into my terminal?
No.
Oh, okay.
I periodically
Did you steal my
week or two-
records? You son of a
No.
bitch.
No. Not yet.
All right.
You
Any other
consent to your
questions?
record?
Does that suffice there, Moss? That's the full extent of this.
Yeah.
That like I
Yep.
said, there's multiple witnesses. I don't.
Okay. We just,
Yeah.
it was brought up. I just had to address it. Okay.
Do you need any other evidence about the state authorizing and telling me to bring Lang and Alfonso to a safe site? Do I need to send a more? For the record here, guys, these individuals, I know you might feel comfortable with the one that you sent me, but like, this motherfucker, like, this state official kind of above that shit, and I ain't trying to share his shit.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Hold on. So I shared with Sparks what you sent me. Sparks, is that sufficient, or does he need to produce something?
I mean, you guys can
more
ask him, right?
formal?
I'm suspended. You guys have access to state
All right,
officials.
I'm just going to be really clear and blunt.
Yeah.
The situation in July has been done and over with for a week or two for me. I don't care.
But
I
it's
don't- I
in
don't
my
care about
subpoena
July.
from yesterday, no?
Well, the subpoena was written, I believe, earlier this week, and it was more just the intention was, well, we should probably just double check.
Wait, hold up,
but-
guys. If it was done a week ago and it's in the subpoena, even if it was written a week ago, it just got signed. Did y'all submit this, like, knowing that?
No.
No, I think Sparks is misspeaking. So we investigated the Lang Buddha and Alfonso Sebastian.
PC hearing, bench trial. Those are jokes.
We've been here almost 3 hours,
Yeah.
Brian. Please.
Denied.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean-
with all due respect, guys, I am going to, like, look, I'm up late as well. I recognize that this is probably, I know this is taking a while, but outside of this room, outside of this question as to whether I did this thing to a faceless asset, which is already cooked by, in my opinion, just by virtue of how it was presented, and the complete critical lack of any reasonable evidence, the lack of the needed investigations, did Clark and Forehead even communicate, all this other shit is...
None of this information is lost on the investigators.
No, and I get that. I'm landing. Is
Sure.
that for me, for the department, for the state, this has to, we're under attack and our life depends on, like this right now is fucking insane, and it's got to get done right, because there are consequences not that have already been reaped since last week and will continue to reap. And so, I am being verbose for that reason, right? I don't give a fuck about my title. I don't give a fuck about my position beyond the fact that I have been leading these goddamn troops against our end. And so, I know it's been 3 hours, but man, I hope you understand, I'm also making sure that I have a defense, not just for myself, but for whatever the fuck might happen as a consequence. Right?
Does anyone else have any other
Understood.
questions for Director Knight?
I don't have any more questions.
Montez, can you sign us off then, please?
It's,
Give me 1
10:55
second.
PM EST.
Just give me 1 second here. I'm just running through this real quick. If it's anything, it's probably just one more minor question. Right. Obviously we spoke a lot here. There's a lot of questions that opened up, right? Whether it's like, was Forehead subpoenaed? Was Clark subpoenaed? Was Angel's records, gotten as well, et cetera, et cetera. Will I have obviously y'all have to check the veracity of these statements as it weighs to this. Will I have a opportunity to either A, review what's being sent so I can produce a defensive, response, right? And also a review to make sure that exculpatory evidence is not removed. Not saying that you guys would do it maliciously, but, but it's important that I look at it too, because things can be missed, right? Like you said, 3-hour thing. Will I A, be able to review it? Will I B, be able to submit a response or a defense in written form?
I believe you'll be reached out to concerning the state officials or the Chief Justice or whomever may reach out should it be necessary for it to be done.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any other questions concerning this matter? And I swear to God, Brian, if you say one more thing another time, I'm going to...
Well, no, I am. Wait, so you're not...
Yeah.
Are you not sure, or...
I'm not able to provide that information to you at this time concerning the ongoing investigation. Does anyone else have any other further questions?
But this is a process question, Sparks. Like, do I
Sure.
get an opportunity to defend myself in written form? Is what I'm asking.
I mean, you're welcome to
that's
do whatever you'd like to do, Director.
something
Well,
that
yeah, but I'm not in
we-
control
we
of the
can-
process.
We can inquire.
Yeah, please,
As-
Moss.
as
That's all I'm asking. Yeah, I don't
as
think...
I mentioned
yeah.
before, you had other questions related to the process.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and listen to the recording and submit. We'll submit those questions to get clarification.
Okay. Could you find out for me, Moss, or anyone else? Just my ask is, I'm trying not to be in the dark as to what's happening. Not the conclusion of what's going to happen to me, but the process. And whether I have a opportunity to defend myself based on whatever is written, right?
Understood. It will be provided over to you should there be an answer.
Okay. All right.
Understand what you're
Okay.
asking.
All right. Easy. Thank you.
Do you have any one more questions?
Let me see. Andre, bounties put out. Ongoing. Oh, one last one.
Yeah, the third last one.
This is the last one. It's at the bottom of my Obsidian. All right.
I've
Listen,
worked with
I
you
had
for 9
20
months.
minutes.
I don't believe you.
I'm a thorough guy. What can I say?
I'm aware.
Listen, I had 20 minutes to slap all this shit together. I want you to know. I had to deal with a bunch of other bullshit for the past couple of hours. As well as, yeah. Anyways. Y'all four are the investigators. I'm just kind of want to point out, it's like one of y'all signed your own warrant. That's it's not like a part of SOPs, but there are reasons for that diligency, for it to be reviewed by a outside party to ensure, outside command member, to ensure that there is nothing amiss, due to, well, the common notion that if you work on something together, you're not going to see the fault because you help build it.
Sure. And I have no statute of limitations, Director, so I encourage people to investigate me.
Okay. So, all right.
Do you have any other further last questions?
No, that should be it. I'm, I hope I didn't take up too much of y'all's time, and you understand that, it's important that I do the right thing and be able to defend myself against these faceless accusations.
Okay, perfect. Montez, you can sign us off.
It's 11 p.m. EST. This recording will be stopped.
All right.
I will
perfect.
consent to my phone subpoena when Blink comes looking for me.
All right.
Thank you for your time, Knight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm not
Thank
trying
you.
to be difficult here. I just need to